Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, June 5th, and we'll call this meeting of the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Baspis Rath.
Here.
Commissioner Habusta.
Here.
Commissioner Marble.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Here.
All are present, thank you. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, everybody. I think we will hop right into item B, proclamations and recognitions. We've got a good-looking cast here this evening, so Chief Bierling, if you would like to come up to the podium.
Mayor, City Commissioners, and City Manager, I am honored to be here tonight and present 3 exceptional officers with life-saving awards. An officer is eligible for a life-saving award if they save a life and their actions are significant and not routine measures unless such routine measures are performed under extenuating or dangerous conditions. The first officer I would like to present you is Officer Trevor Atkins. On February 2nd, 2023, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department was dispatched to a residence within the 400 block of Greenouth Street for a report of a domestic assault involving strangulation. While en route, you learned the suspect, a male subject, had cut his own arm with a knife. You and the other responding officers made contact with a male subject within a basement. There was a significant amount of blood on the basement floor. The subject was bleeding profusely from a large laceration on his left arm and going in and out of consciousness due to blood loss. You recognized this was a medical emergency and the male subject's life was in danger. Relying on your training and experience, you reacted quickly. You instructed the other officers to lay the subject on the floor. Once he was on the floor, you applied a tourniquet to the subject's arm and stopped his bleeding. Shortly after, the ambulance arrived and transported the subject to the hospital. The subject survived his injuries. Your compassion for life of another human being, especially in their darkest hour, means highly of your dedication to the safety of those in our community. I have discussed this incident with the medical community, and there's no doubt your actions were life-saving. On behalf of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department, I am honored to present you with the department's life-saving commendation. Congratulations. Sergeant Jerome Gapczynski. On March 6, 2023, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department was dispatched to an apartment complex for an alleged assault with a vehicle complaint. While en route, you learned the subject, a male subject, had left the scene in a vehicle, and he was going to jump off a bridge. You began searching the bridge areas for the vehicle and suicidal subject. You found the vehicle near the West Portage Avenue Bridge. You saw the vehicle parked in the middle of the bridge and another male subject get out and climb over the bridge railing. Quickly, you transitioned from vehicle to on foot and approached the male subject. You found the subject very upset, crying, and suicidal. Immediately, you began to negotiate and de-escalate the situation in a calm and empathetic manner. You did this from a safe distance, far enough away that you didn't entice the subject to jump, but close enough to make your conversation effective. The subject, screaming and crying, clung to the railing and leaned his entire body away from the bridge and over the water. At one point, the subject faced away from the bridge. Regardless of the dangerous actions taken by the subject, you kept your position, remained calm, and continued to talk with him. After approximately 2 minutes, backup officers arrived at the scene. Now working as a team, you and the other officers continued to negotiate and de-escalate from a safe and effective distance. Your efforts were successful, and the subject swung his legs back over the railing. The subject was taken into protective custody without further incident and transported to the hospital. No one was injured during this incident. Your compassion for the life of another human being, especially in their darkest hour, means highly of your dedication to the safety of those in our community. I have no doubt that your actions, tactics, and demeanor during this incident saved the man's life. On behalf of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department, I am honored to present you with the department's life-saving commendation. Congratulations. Sergeant Christopher Simke. On March 6, 2023, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department was dispatched to an apartment complex for an alleged assault with a vehicle complaint. While en route, you learned the suspect, a male subject, had left the scene in a vehicle and was going to jump off the bridge. Sergeant Jerome Gapczynski found the subject on West Portage Avenue Bridge. You responded to that location to assist. Upon arrival, you found Sergeant Jerome Gapczynski talking with the male subject who appeared as if he was about to jump off a bridge. You approached and positioned yourself opposite Sergeant Gapczynski and at a distance from the subject that was far enough away, but not to entice him to jump, but close enough to have an effective conversation. You were very familiar with this subject from previous dealings. In fact, you had a positive rapport with him. You knew this and used it to your advantage. You started negotiating with the subject and de-escalating the situation in a calm, empathetic, and friendly manner. The subject was very responsible to you, so much that he shifted most of his focus towards you. Your efforts were successful, and the subject swung his legs back over the railing. The subject was taken into protective custody without further incident and transported to the hospital. No one was injured during this incident. Your compassion for life of another human being, especially in the darkest hour, speaks highly of your dedication to the safety of those in our community. I have no doubt that your actions, tactics, and demeanor during this incident saved the man's life. On behalf of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department, I am honored to present you with the department's life-saving commendation. Congratulations.
Couple seconds late, but certainly on behalf of the commission and the administration, we thank the officers for their life-saving heroics and all of the city police department, fire department for their service. So, thank you very much. Item C is public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments on any of our scheduled agenda items this evening? Possibly? Okay.
E3, depending on the result of, or I'm sorry, E2, depending on the result of E1.
Okay.
So whatever you say coming out of E1.
All right, so it's Matt, Sue Ann Willis. Okay, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to make any comments on any other items? Seeing none, we'll move on into item D, which is the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Robin Troyer. A long one. Get your breath.
Under the consent agenda, item 1, approval of the city commission meeting minutes of May 15th, 2023. Item 2, acceptance of the airport advisory board meeting minutes of April 13th. Item 3, acceptance of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting minutes of March 14th. Item 4, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation meeting minutes of April 11th. Item 5, acceptance of the Police and Fire Pension Board meeting minutes of April 26th. Item 6, acceptance of the Tax Increment Finance Authority 3 meeting minutes of March 14th. Item 7, acceptance of the Planning Commission meeting minutes of April 27th and May 25th. Item 8 is appointment of Jordan Chisholm to the Downtown Development Authority to fill the balance of a term to expire April 1, 2025. Item 9 is reappointment of Terry Hines to the Fire Code Board of Appeals. Item 10 is confirmation of mayor's appointment of Stephen Johnson from LSSU to the Local Development Finance Authority. Item 11 is confirmation of mayor's reappointment of Derek Knight to the Planning Commission for a term to expire April 19th, 2026. Item 12 is consideration of a bid award for the purchase of calcium chloride for dust control on gravel roads. Item 13 is consideration of a bid award for the purchase of emulsion for spray patching. Item 14 is consideration of a private use agreement with Knights of Columbus for access, roadway, and parking lot use. Item 15 is consideration of a private use agreement for driveway access for 636 West 25th Avenue. Item 16 is consideration to accept an Eagle Shore Power Grant for the Cowbird Dock. Item 17 is consideration to apply for a Surface Water Intake Protection Program grant. Item 18 is consideration of an easement with Cloverland Electric Cooperative for Easterday Avenue truck route construction. Item 19 is consideration of public hearing to close out MEDC Downtown Placemaking Project and Grant at the July 17, 2023 regular City Commission meeting. Item 20 is consideration of Smart Zone Hot Desk Agreement with Eric Shellhammer. Item 21 is consideration of Smart Zone Hot Desk Agreement with Tiffany Estridge. Item 22 is consideration for the mayor to sign a discharge of mortgage relative to rental rehab program improvements made to 939 Brown Street. Item 23 is consideration of a land division resolution to divide parcel number 051-047-020-00 into 2 parcels. Item 24 is consideration of a public hearing for obsolete property rehabilitation exemption request for 536, 538, and 540 Ashland Street. 25 is consideration of Downtown Development Authority Match on Main grant funding. And item 26 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Nice job, Deputy City Manager. Is there any commissioner that would like any of the items removed for individual consideration or have any questions? Commissioner Miller.
Can Robin read those all again, please?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a question? No? Okay. Commissioner Bauer.
Yes, you know what, this is the longest consent agenda I think I've ever seen, so I'm missing it was the one regarding the Knights of Columbus, and here we go, 14. Just in regards to that, I need to mention that I am the elected Grand Knight of Council 649 of Knights of Columbus and should possibly abstain from that vote.
I would abstain from it, and if the commission wants to approve the consent agenda, pull that one out. We'll deal with it right after the consent vote, then you can abstain from it, and we will,
In that case, I move that we pass tonight's consent agenda with the exception of item 14.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. We approve the consent agenda minus item 14. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Now we will take up item 14, consideration of a private use agreement with the Knights of Columbus for access roadway and parking lot use. And Commissioner Bauer has a statement. Do you want to repeat your statement?
Oh, yeah, sure. As the elected Grand Knight of Council 649 of the Knights of Columbus, I am abstaining from discussion and vote.
So do we have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the PUA as presented.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Oh, whoops.
Commissioner
I can't believe I did that.
Commissioner Bauer abstained.
Strike that, please. What'd we even do that for?
That was an abstention vote, right? All right, motion passed with 1 abstention. We're moving on into item E, which is special orders of business. City Manager Chapman.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a request to go into closed session, take a break from this meeting, go into closed session. We're anticipating it being about 30 minutes, and then we will reconvene in open session at the conclusion of that. So we look for a motion to go into closed session in accordance with Section 8A of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act.
Do we have a motion to move into closed session? Commissioner Marble, would you like to make that motion?
Motion to enter a closed session in accordance with Section 8A of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act in order to consult with the attorney in legal opinion.
Support.
Been moved and supported that we moved into closed session. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
We're good.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we will move into closed session, and we will be back at the conclusion. So city manager estimates 30 minutes, so we'll shut everything down and be right back. Thanks for your patience, everybody. It's 8:05, and we will reconvene this meeting, the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission. Item E, special orders of business, number 3, City Manager Chapman.
2.
No, they bumped it down to 3.
Oh,
Yeah, you
sorry.
gotta reload the,
Oh,
so it is now number 3. It's,
okay, sorry.
yeah, number 2 was the closed session. Now we're moving into special orders of business, number 3.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Based on our conversation with our legal attorney, we are recommending at the time to table what would be E3 at this point, to be dealt with at a later time.
Thank you, City Manager. Mr. Wilks or Mrs. Wilks, did you want to make any comments at this time? I know you'd sure come on up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Matt Wilkes, 316 Armory. I just want to ensure and let you know, and I think you are aware of this, given your action on tabling the item again, I want to remind you that we have a retained attorney. You have his name and contact information. He's been retained for 30 days now, and he expects at least some contact from your attorney so that they at least know their names and exchange information at this point. Okay, that's all I really want to ask you to do. I don't believe that's been done yet, and not that any information has to exchange hands at this point in time, but at least the contact information exchange so the parties know each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilks. Mrs. Wilks? All right, so City Manager's recommendation was to table item E3. Anybody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments before we have a vote? Commissioner Miller?
I'd just like to respond to what Mr. Wilks said, though, about the attorneys talking to each other. Our attorney's right there. I mean, is that something that will happen?
Thank you, Commissioner. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
As long as I'm directed to do so by my point of contact at the city.
Thank you very much. Any other further questions? All in, do you want to do a roll call? I see it popped up. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Gary,
Yes?
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Baspis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Habusta,
Yes.
Commissioner Marble,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. So moving on into E, Special Orders of Business, number 4, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is the second reading and potential adoption of the form-based code. At this time, based on the recommendation, the conversations we had with our city attorneys, and given some of the feedback that we've received, we would recommend sending the form-based code back down to the planning commission for further work and development.
Thank you, City Manager. Wilks, have any comments at all? No, but this is the item that you said you'd like to reserve time for, so if you... We'll wait to hear from the planning commission. Okay. Any commissioners have any questions or comments? Is there a motion to, Commissioner Miller?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Baspis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Habusta,
Yes.
Commissioner Marble,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Gary.
Yes. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Item E, Special Orders of Business, number 5, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a motion to confirm the single lot special assessment roll SL1N-23 and SL1W-23. These are unpaid invoices that are going to be rolled over onto the property tax bills. A lot of unpaid water, unpaid blight tickets, things of that nature. So we would look for a motion to confirm the single lot assessment roll SL1N-23 and SL1W-23.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments for the City Manager? Sure, Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I have a question. I couldn't help but notice that on the very bottom of the assessment roll for water, which is an address of 939 Brown Street, which we have dealt with earlier tonight under other ownership. I was just curious, as to what's the deal with that?
On water?
No. Did I say water?
The water
Oh,
list.
the water assessment, yeah, not Water Street. 939 Brown Street. You remember? That was the one that was,
Is it on the consent agenda?
yeah. It was for, the consent agenda is so dang long. Number 22, consideration for the mayor to sign a discharge of mortgage relative to rental rehab program improvements made to 939 Brown Street. And that's 939 Brown Street. I was just wondering, do the Benoits still own that property or not? And if so, then why is somebody else on the hook for
I got you now.
the water?
Okay, I caught up to you. So that property has actually been purchased through, where's Freeman at? It's been purchased through a land contract, so that Benoits don't technically own it right now. It's
Okay,
owned by,
because that was misleading on item 22, to me.
so the,
Anyway, because as 22 reads on the consent agenda, it seems like they still own it, but it even says are in the process. And I understand the land contract is process, right? But it didn't specify that, so that's kind of, what put the question mark in my head.
gotcha. Yeah, so 939 Brown Street was, again, technically, I guess it's still technically owned by the Benoits, but the mortgage for this property, for this particular program, was in the Benoits' name. So in order for them to finalize the transfer of the property, which the property was in land contract a year or so ago, you remember? Yeah, about a year or so ago, this mortgage has to be waived, cleared, what's the term?
Discharged.
Discharged, thank you. Correct, am I missing anything?
Yeah, basically the Benoits signed up for the program in 2010. It was a 5-year period of time, so their obligation ended in 2015. They've retained ownership. They've sold it on land contract to a new owner last year with the expectation that they will transfer title probably within the next few years, and they don't have clear title with this mortgage obligation still on the books. So this action would clear that off and allow that transfer of title in the future.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
And I didn't
Kelly.
realize the water issue was on this agenda, so I was, just a circumstance of coincidence.
Needed it
Yeah, I mean, it was
99% of
just
us.
one of those things. I'm reading it and it made
Yeah, it
me
was.
go, huh.
I'm finding out about it just right now, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Gotta wake up pretty early to get something past Commissioner Bauer.
Yes, you do.
Good question. Any other questions? So we need a motion to confirm the single lot special assessment roll SL1N23 and SL1W23. Commissioner Bauer, would you like to make that motion?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Moving to E, special orders of business, number 6. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a first reading of an ordinance that essentially merges the Historic Development Commission with the Historic Structures Committee. Kind of long story short, the Historic Development Commission and the Historic Structures Committee have a very similar purpose when it comes to the historical homes on Water Street. The Historical Development Commission is established through an ordinance that oversees one of the trust funds, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head. And the other one is the Osborne, thank you, for the Osborne. The Historic Structures Committee oversees maintenance and contracts related to the historical homes. typically what's been happening is one committee has been referring to the other committee. There's a lot of members that sit on both committees, and with that, there's a lot of staff time to administer both committees. So we're looking to merge the two just to kind of make it a more smoother process for any recommendations coming up to the commission. On the historic structures side, that may not be needed as much anymore with the recent move to bring those, the operation of those structures back in-house to City Hall. Part of the Historic Structures Committee was to oversee the contractor for the historic homes, but bringing that back inside now, there is no contract. So we would look to merge the two committees into one. With this, we'd look for a motion to schedule the second reading on June 19th, 2023.
Thank you, City Manager. Any discussion on this item? Commissioner Miller?
So would I still be the liaison to the new board? Would the new board have a name, or are you just gonna merge them together?
So we'll merge them together. Technically, it'll be a merging of the duties from historic structures to historic development. Historic structures would be dissolved. That was established through resolution at the commission level. So the new board would just be the Historic Development Commission as it is, with some added members from the HSC, with the responsibilities from the historic structures. So the HDC will still be there. I'm not sure who the commission liaison is for that particular board off the top of my head. Yeah, but if there isn't one, you can have it.
Would you like to make a
I'll
motion?
take it. I'll take it. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance to dissolve the Historic Structures Committee and merge with the Historic Development Commission, and schedule a second reading and a regular city commission meeting on June 19th, 2023.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Moving on into number 7, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to vacate an alley within Comptroller Subdivision Number 2, Block 1, in R.N. Adams Edition, Block 1. Long story short, there's a stretch of property over by Parker Ace Hardware that we're looking to vacate. It's a public unimproved alley that's actually a portion that runs through what would be the driveway of Parker's Hardware. Most people don't know that it's not part of their driveway, and Parker's maintains it and snowplows it for us. So just to make it a lot cleaner, we're looking just to vacate that alleyway and give it to the property owners, of which Parker's would be the beneficiary of most of it, if not all of it. Right, yep.
Thank you, City Manager, and kudos to Parkers for all the work they've done with blacktop and concrete work on the back of their new building and around this alleyway. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Rubenstein, would you like to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's my fault, sorry.
So we will have a public hearing, public comments on the resolution to vacate the full width of the alley within Comptroller Subdivision Number 2, Block 1, and R.N. Adams Edition, Block 1, and with the retention of utility easements. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this time? Public hearing on any comments to vacating an alley? Seeing none, we'll close it. Thank you, Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to adopt the included resolution vacating the full width of the alley within Comptroller Subdivision Number 2, Block 1, and R.N. Adams Edition, Block 1, with the retention of utility easements.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed with a unanimous vote. Moving on into item G, business items. Number 1, Linda Hoth is sitting and waiting.
Salivating.
City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to enter into a professional engineering contract with OHM Advisors in the amount of $330,000. This contract is specifically for the I-500 property. This contract is coming to the commission as a joint applicant with the CVB for the I-500 project. There is no cost to the city as the grant funds which were awarded to CVB will cover them, and anything in excess of the dollar amount will be covered by the CVB2, which is my favorite kind of project. So there's no dollar amount coming from the city. Again, EDA is just requesting that we sign off on the contract as the joint applicant / landowner. We did go through 2 bidding processes. EDA likes to see at least 3 bidders on each process. First time around, we only received 2. EDA told us to do it again. We did it a second time. We only received, only received 2 again, the same bids. We are recommending OHM for approval with the CVB weighing in on this process. We feel the lower bid didn't meet the proper scope of the project. The process to bid it out is based on quality, what is it? Quality-based bid. So it looks at not just the dollar amount, but the firm's ability to get the project done. We feel OHM is the best firm to get this project done. So we are making for a motion to award professional engineering contract to OHM in the amount of $330,000.
Thank you, City Manager. I just wanted to make a disclosure. I am on the CVB board, but have no financial interest, and if I have a conflict, you all have a conflict too, because the money's coming to the city. So, Linda, did you have any comments, or are you free of 1 minute?
Wait a minute, you got 45 minutes. I
can
have
have one,
more.
you'll only take 10, so.
No, and I just want to say, we've been working very hard with David Boyle and Tracy, and it has been excellent. Because, you know, I'm not an engineer. I said, and Dave has done a great job of explaining things to me, getting things, and Jeff Hagan has been an excellent part of this. So I just want to tell you, it's, without the city, we probably wouldn't be doing this. So thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Good comments. We have an excellent
1 minute.
engineering department. Yeah, great job. I just want to make one comment on looking at the larger the bids. Certainly, whenever anybody bids out, it's not the lowest bid, but it's the most responsive and responsible bid. The people that can actually do the project and the contract and have the experience. Sometimes that bid is a little higher. Sometimes it's a lot higher, but that is the responsible thing to do in the community. So anybody have any questions or comments? Commissioner Hubusta, would you like to make the motion?
Absolutely. Motion to award professional engineering contract to OHM Advisors, a Michigan firm, in the amount of $330,000.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or
Give
comments?
that one to Scott.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Linda, very much for all your work. G, business items number 2, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a motion to amend a project budget for the next fiscal year to add in $3,200 from the IT fund for the purchase of a GIS Trimble unit for our engineering department. The unit itself is at $13,700. We found the unit for sale through the My Deal initiative, which is a joint state bid contract opportunity. Long story short, the state and a lot of other states kind of have this joint contract opportunity where local municipalities can jump on already bid out contracts to try to buy certain pieces of equipment at a lower cost. This one is a purchase coming through My Deal. Again, the request for this one is a budget amendment to add $3,200 to the project from the IT fund. The total purchase is about $13,700.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments on this item? And certainly, I don't know if we've used My Deal before, but it certainly is a good opportunity, and it's worth noting that this type of equipment is not available anywhere locally through our localized purchase process. Commissioner Marble, would you like to make this motion?
Sure. Motion to amend the budget to $13,700 with $3,200 to come from the IT fund balance.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Under G, business items, number 3, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a motion to approve an easement for the Army Corps of Engineers to allow connection to the city sanitary sewer. Long story short, the United States Army Corps of Engineers looking to add in some sewer infrastructure onto their Locks property and to get away from their old septic tank systems. This is an easement that will allow them to connect to our sanitary sewer system, so we look for a motion to approve the easement as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Bassos-Rath, would you like to? It's an easy one, a short one.
I know. They're kind of all one motion.
One-liners.
Motion to approve the easement as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Under G, business items, number 5, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next is a request to take out a loan from the Augusta Hersley Seal Trust and Governor Chase Osborne Trust for a total amount of $2 million at a rate of 5.10%. This was something that was discussed briefly during the budget process, but these funds would be utilized to assist in funding the gap for the Carbide Dock Easter Day project. The city has taken out loans against the 2 trust funds in the past. Given the current market, this is actually a better rate for the 2 trust funds versus investing it somewhere else. So the request is for $1,090,000 from the Augusta Hersley and $910,000 from the Governor Chase Osborne at a rate of 5.10% for the Carbide Dock project.
Thank you, City Manager. And I will say, sitting on the Seal Trust and the Osborne Trust, there is money available to invest, and the investment market is getting better, but it's not great right now. And this would certainly be a good opportunity for the city. It's kind of win-win. We get to invest our own funds and not pay as high a rate. And certainly if we were to borrow, we would have a lot of money to attorneys in bond counsel. So, and as I understand it, if we are awarded with some of these grants, then we can pay it back and we will not penalize ourselves with a
Correct.
payback, early payback. So any questions or comments on this item? Sure, Commissioner Busta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager, just want to verify that neither of these trust funds have language that prevents loaning from the corpus or investing outside of the traditional market.
Correct.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Miller, would you like to make this motion?
Sure, thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve an internal loan of $2 million at a rate of 5.1% to the City Capital Projects Fund for the Carbide Dock Easter Day project, with $1,090,000 from the Augusta Hersley Seal Trust and $910,000 from Governor Chase Osborne Trust.
There's been a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion also passed unanimously. Under G, business items, number 5, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to sell Lot 20 of the Airport Industrial Park to Lindsay Andrzak for $8,000. EDC and Community Development were approached by Ms. Andrzak to purchase the property. Staff came up with a price after some negotiations. They settled on $8,000. We feel that it's a good price for the property and some of the work that needs to be done there. So we look for a motion to authorize the sale of the Industrial Airport Lot 20 to Lindsay Andrzak for $8,000.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments? Certainly, she's done a wonderful job with the building that she has there, and it looks like she has a thriving business. So, seeing none, Commissioner Rubenstein, would you like to make a motion?
Motion to authorize the sale of Airport Industrial Park Lot 20 to Lindsay Andrzak for $8,000.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Sure, Commissioner Abusta.
I'm sorry, I didn't get my hand up quick enough earlier.
Sorry.
Can you just explain to me, you indicate the staff finds this a fair figure. Can you just explain to me what that was built off of?
Yep, hold on a second.
Thank you.
Kelly, you want to help me out with that one?
Welcome, Kelly Freeman.
Glad to be back. Basically, it's previous sales. In this particular case, we'd sold the lot immediately south of this to Linda Grow, who was putting up a building there, and then there was another lot that was sold last year on Meridian Street. In this particular case, this property does not have paved road access. It's a dirt road, so we kind of did a per acre breakdown and accounted for that. So that was so Ms. Andrew Jack initially offered 6. We countered at 9, and she came back at 8.
Thank you, Director Freeman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Any other questions? Okay, so we have motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Under G, business items, number 6, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to authorize an agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and Sugar Island for EMS services. Sugar Island EMS is currently low on staff. They don't have the ability to fulfill a lot of their calls. They have looked to the city for some assistance in managing their coverage. In the past, we've had some interim agreements where we covered maybe a few weeks to a couple of months, especially during the summertime when they didn't have the LSSU students to fill some of the roles. With this agreement, there is a fee schedule for it that outlines what we would charge per trip on top of any billing that we would get for EMS. We feel that this is a good move for us, as we'll be able to increase our revenues without sacrificing any kind of quality of service to the residents that we primarily serve. So Sugar Island has about 57 calls per year. It's not too much. Sugar Island will still have some people within their operations to act as first responders, so they will respond to the scene, kind of triage, and then we will make our way over there and take it over from there and bring them to the hospital, whatever the case may be. So we've worked out a new fee schedule, kind of going back on that. We did work out a new fee schedule. The agreement is very similar in terms of structure with what we have with the surrounding townships that we cover, but the cost per runs are a little bit higher than those older agreements, as this is kind of the new cost to cover our services. So ensuring that we're still whole by running these, if we're running these services. So we look for a motion to approve the agreement as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments? Chief Miller, not looking for a helicopter, are you? Commissioner Marvel, would you like to make this motion?
Thank you. Motion to approve the agreement between the Sault Ste. Marie Fire Department and Sugar Island Township EMS to provide EMS service as manually scheduled and authorized the city manager and deputy city manager, city clerk to execute the agreement.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And thank you, Chief Miller, for all your work on this. Certainly is becoming a more and more prevalent issue in rural communities, the availability of quality ambulance service, paramedic service. So glad you can help. G, business items, number 7, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act for strategy and negotiations related to collective bargaining agreements.
And will we be coming back from that one?
No.
Okay,
Did she say
Commissioner.
no too?
She said no? If Bonnie said no, then no. Commissioner Habusta, would you like to make the motion?
Motion to enter closed session for strategy and negotiation connected with the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements in accordance with Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act at the end of the meeting.
Support.
Been moved and supported that we go into closed session at the end of our meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Item 8, city manager announcements and updates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of key dates for the commission. On June 20th, we'll be going to Mayor's Exchange in Boyne City. On the beginning of July, just as a reminder, we will not have our first Monday meeting in July. We've canceled that for the 4th of July holiday. As a reminder, there is the 4th of July parade that will happen on the 4th of July at about 6 p.m. And then just a couple of vacation days as a heads up. On June 12th, I will be out on vacation, and June 23rd.
So we have no meeting on the 3rd,
No meeting on the 3rd.
on Monday, okay.
Correct.
It's not being rescheduled, it's just canceled.
Just canceled, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions for the city manager? Moving into item I, matters presented by the public. Is there anybody in the audience that has any comments or questions for the city commission or for administration? Anybody in the public have any comments? Seeing none, we'll move into item J, which is matters presented by the city commission. Any commissioner? Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know this is kind of a long meeting and we still have to go into closed session, but I just had a couple of quick things. I was wondering if I could get an update on what's going on at the Puller Stadium, Mr. Chapman.
We are working on the RFP for engineering services for the concession stands area. Right now, the Polar is closed. The staff had the opportunity to do a deep cleaning of the facility at the end of the Eagles season. They were able to paint a lot of the bleachers, touch up a lot of different areas. The RFP should all be for engineering services soon. Once we get an engineer on, they'll be able to look at the space and come up with a plan on how to get that hood installed.
Thank you.
You said you had a couple?
Yeah, one more thing, just on a personal note, June 5th today is my friend Mary Berry from Rudyard's birthday. Been a great friend of mine for a number of years, and I just wanted to wish her a very happy birthday. She watches all our meetings, even though she's in Rudyard and she's not a voter or anything. She watches all our meetings.
Certainly happy birthday to your friend. Any other commissioner? Sure, Commissioner Boss's-Rath.
Since I said it for Mother's Day, I'll say it for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, because when we come back, it'll be June 19th and Father's Day will be over. Not that it's not Father's Day every day, but happy Father's Day to every father out there.
Anybody else? Commissioner Bauer.
Your Honor, I move that we adjourn this meeting and enter closed session.
Support. Been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is